Welcome to this demonstration of Wise Option Equine Enterprise Management, the reproduction version, the ultimate in equine management software. We know that you must be here and watching this demonstration today because you know there must be a better way to keep your records and manage your breeding facility. We are here to help and provide that solution. So today, during this demonstration, I'm going to show you some of the features of the reproduction version, as well as some of the features of the training version, which is included in the reproduction version. Some of the things to look for when buying a software program, some of the reasons not to buy one right off the shelf, and show you how Wise Option is tailor-made to make breeding facilities run smoother. And also, we're going to show you at the end some final steps to help complete your purchase and get you going. We're going to set up that installation appointment for you so that you can start using Wise Option right away. So I've listed here some of the standard features that are included. I mentioned that we're going to go over some of the features that are included in the training version. This is a list of those training version features. Now we call them standard because they're included in all of the versions of Wise Option. This list can be found on the Wise Option website, which you are probably visiting, under the reproduction tab as well as all of the others. I've listed the reproduction website address here at the bottom. We're also going to show you some of the mare management features, some of the stallion management features, and also some of the frozen semen module features. And again, all of these lists can be found on the website. These lists will give you quite a bit more detail on each individual feature. We're going to do a pretty broad overview today. So on today, we're going to cover some of the standard features that I mentioned before, such as the customer and horse management, show you how simply keeping your records creates the billing for you, and you do that all in one step through your procedure entry. We're going to cover some of the record management, some of the triggers and reminders. Those are features in Wise Option, as well as the boarding and billing and invoicing. Now, as far as the reproduction features, the mare and stallion management, we're going to cover the daily worksheet, pretty much the heart and soul of the reproduction version. With the daily worksheet, you will have access to your mare summary card, scheduling mares for breeding for that day or in the future. I'm going to show you a little bit about the breeding log, the flush log, and the embryo transfer log. Show you about the pregnancy check feature, which will allow you to show that that mare is pregnant, and it will affect the rest of the system. We're going to show you a little bit on the stallion side about the breeding contracts and managing those, about your shipped semen requests, the collection management, your shipped semen log, and also a little bit about the stallion breeding report that's used to send to the breed associations. So let's start using Wise Option. This is the main screen of Wise Option that you'll see. This hospital tab is not usually there. We're promoting the hospital feature to the end of 2007 at no extra charge when you purchase either the training or reproduction version, so that is there as well. So from here, we're going to start at the horse file. And simply by clicking this horse file, I have a list of all of the active horses on my property. Now, active horses mean that they actually live on your property. Inactive means that they live somewhere else. Maybe it's a mare that you're shipping semen to that's off the site. So my default view is active horses only, like I said. If I want to view my inactive horses, I'm simply going to click here at the bottom, and it will refresh my list with all of my inactive horses as well. And you can see the 3 asterisks here after the name means that they're inactive. If I move this over, you can see I have a couple more here. So if I go and click on any one of these mares, Hope by Envy is her registered name. Hope would be her barn name or sort ID, and you can see her neck band as well as some additional information. But as soon as I click on her name, you'll notice that this information here on the top right begins to populate. It will, of course, have her name, registration numbers, etc. on this page, as well as a shortcut to her owner. Now, we'll cover this button in just a minute. For now, I want you to look at all of these buttons that you have easy access to simply from this horse management screen. The first one I want to show you is the update, and this is where all of her key information is being held. So at any time I can, let's say she loses her neck band and she needs to be number 62. I can change that. It's very simple to do. It's not required. It doesn't affect who that horse is or that the horse is known in the system by the neck band. It's not that way. The horse has an ID number that's unique to each horse. You can change the neck band. It's an alphanumeric field, so you can change that based on maybe who she's being bred to, etc. So it also has her date of birth, her color, her owner. This is an interesting feature of Wise Option. It also has the board farm agent or manager. So if you know that you talk to a third party about the health or the reproduction for that mare, you can have access to that individual right here. This mare happens to be a mare that has a foal by her side, so I have in here her last foaling date and that she's foaling as her status for this year. Her location, which can be changed at any time. Maybe we need to move her to the mare motel. That's as easy as changing a location. I also have an ownership field here so that I can take care of my syndicates or joint owners. As soon as you do your billing, Wise Option is going to separate that out based on the percentage that each owner owns. Then all you do to fill this out is you would just pick your customer, add in the percentage of ownership, and continue until you reach 100%. I'm going to take that away. We also have a place for any comments or the microchip information. Again, here is your active box that you can check or uncheck, and then a flag. Now, this flag can mean anything that you would like it to. Perhaps that horse has a rebreed, or she's not to leave without being fully paid for. Whatever your case, you can flag or unflag that mare. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And now let's look at some of these buttons. I have access to her procedures, which is anything that we've done to her. It defaults for 90 days, but I can certainly do all dates or a specific period. I have access to her markings, any billing information, her show records, simply has date, class, money won in the description. Any form letters, horse notes, nominations, insurance, her boarding log, pedigree, teasing chart, mare record, and again, this is a feature for the hospital where I can add her as a patient. So this is information that is completely accessible right here from this horse management screen. Now I'm going to click the shortcut button to go to her owner's page, and I'm going to refresh the horse list, and from here I have an instant access to all of the horses that he owns in my system, be it that they be inactive or inactive. You can see that Sunny Blue here is inactive, but she still shows on this list. We all know that when owners call, they want to talk about every horse that you have that you're caring for, not just the one maybe that you just bred. So it's very handy to, when Mr. Adams calls, go right here to this customer screen. I can talk about anything he wants to know about any of these mares because, again, I have most of these buttons right down here at the bottom. This is a fantastic way to keep you way more efficient, and there's not a lot of software companies that offer this kind of a view with all of the shortcuts that we offer on this screen. Now I can go to Mr. Adams' account and see any of the invoices that I've created. Happens to be that we didn't do any billing for preparation to have this billing done today, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and click All Dates so that we generate some invoices and credits on the screen. You can see as I scroll through here, there's an invoice number, charges, credits, a subtotal that's a running subtotal, as well as the name of the horse that is in the comment field for whichever invoice it was created for. Now I'm going to go to right here, and let's say, for example, Mr. Adams calls and he's uncertain why this horse's bill was so much. Well, I can double-click on this invoice and at a glance see everything that I charged him for. No longer will you have to maybe assume the client is right and that you're wrong because you can't remember what happened. It's all right here. So that is the accounting section of it. It's simple to do a payment. All I have to do is do payment, select the category. Now, these categories can be changed. If you don't see the category that fits your payment, you can go to category and edit all of those. Same thing with a charge. If I wanted to do a charge that was unrelated to a horse, I could simply do it here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and you can also see that now his current account balance is red of $2,480.40. That's the amount that he owes me. So I can go to Update, and this is the information that I have that I can put in about this client. It also includes the email, website, and association memberships, as well as the standard phone numbers and addresses. I'd like to draw your attention up here. This is, again, the active or inactive clients. You have the ability to charge certain people APR or a service charge and others not. If there is that case and you maybe have a good owner that likes to carry a balance with you that you don't want to charge, simply unclick that box. You can hold the bill so that a client's bill doesn't print out with the rest of them. And again, this flag can be whatever you like it to. So I'm going to close this. That's the majority about the customer screen and the horse screen. And now we're going to go over to the procedures. This is our general procedure addition button, and I can select my horse from here, and I can select my procedure. Now I happen to know that maybe on this example I want to do a deworm, and I know that mine starts with T-DEW. Now I could also sort through here and pick the one I want, or I can begin typing, As soon as I select it, it's going to suggest the administrator and the price based on how I set that task up in the options section. So I could charge this at any time simply by clicking Save. Now, one of the features that if maybe you do go out and deworm a pasture of recipients or a pasture of babies, or you do your farrier bill because your farrier comes and trims 8 head of brood mares, use this multiple horses button. So here, let's go ahead and set up our trims. Maybe the farrier came today and trimmed. And for this example, I'm going to sort by location because he actually came and did all of my mares that were in field 1. So I'm clicking all of the mares here, and maybe it happened yesterday. This done area right here, if I leave this box checked, means that it actually was done. If I uncheck it, it's now set as a reminder for some time to be used in the future. I'm going to go ahead and say it's done on 5-3 and save it. But before I do that, I'm going to go up to Tools and Form Holder Activation. I'm going to click that. Now my form holder is activated, and I'll show you what that does. We're going to go ahead and save. One task for 7 horses. That's what I want to do. And it's going to tell me a total of 7 procedures were added. Now, because I clicked that form holder activator, it's left my form open for me with all of my choices. This is a really handy tool if you have to bill a couple of things differently, or for this example, I'm going to go ahead and change this to undone. I'm now going to create a reminder. I'm going to go to my calendar, and I'm going to do 6 weeks from now, and I'm going to schedule them for their next time. So I'm going to do this. My date is 6 weeks in advance. Set as undone. My farrier trim is still highlighted and checked, as well as the 7 horses that I did. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Say yes. And again, 7 procedures were added. And I'm going to go ahead and manually close this. Now, another way of generating reminders is to go to the Procedure button and use what WiseOption calls triggers. Now, triggers can be used any time that one event triggers several other events. For example, when a mare foals. So I have a foaling for the foal and a foaling for the mare. When a new foal is born, I create a new horse, and then with that new horse, I'm going to generate all these procedures. We're going to bill for the IgG, set up his first and second plasmas, first and second deworming, and foal vaccinations. By the time he's 120 days, he can follow up with all the rest of the horses. So to do this, I'm going to pick my foal. And there's a foal right there. And I'm going to pick the target date. Now, the target date is going to be the number of days. For example, this foal plasma first is going to be 3 days from the target date. And so for me, the way I set this up, I want the target date to be his birthday. So I'm going to pick the target date, and he was born on Tuesday. So we're going to get 5-1. Now I'm going to generate his procedures. It'll ask if that's correct. Yes. And now 7 procedures have added to this foal's record. I don't have to remember to make sure that he gets vaccinated anymore. It's done for me. When we get to the daily worksheet, you'll see that he'll show up then every day that he's scheduled. I have the same for a foaling mare, perhaps a pregnant mare, and you want to schedule her for new abort vaccinations, any other vaccinations, her palpations, her pre-foaling. Your imagination is really the limit to this. Also, I have one for just an antibiotic, 7 days in a row. That was a general description for most of the horses that get sick. So instead of adding those procedures individually, make a trigger. So that's a neat feature for triggers. Now let's move on to the boarding module. I have a boarding module here, and it has a list of all of my horses, their arrival dates, the new period date, which is going to be the day I want to start charging board the next time that I charge it. We'll do that here in just a second. It also has their rate. Notice that this one is at $800. That's because it can be monthly or daily. And it also has a description of the rate that they're on. Now, I can look at all my rates by clicking the rate button, and I can see that I've got my per day and per month in here. And let's say, for example, that this yearling board needs to be $13 a day. I'm going to simply go to Update Rate. My name is OK, but I'm going to change it to $13. And click OK, and again, it's going to ask me a month or a day. I'm going to click No for day. And it's been updated. You can see right here it's now $13. So for this, let's go ahead and check in a new horse. To do that, I'm going to close this module. I'm going to go to my horse file. And for this example, my horse is already in the computer, but it would work the exact same way if you clicked Add to add a new horse and start from scratch. So because he's inactive, I'm going to click View Inactive Horses, come down here, and the horse we're going to add is I'm concluded. Now I'm going to go to Update, and make him active. Again, horses that don't live on your place are inactive. Horses that do are active. Since he's coming to the place, we're going to make him active and save it. Now, Wise Option knows you just made him active and that it was changed, so would we like to put him in the boarding list? Yes. So now it opens up the boarding list. So what I'm going to do is come here to I'm concluded, and I'm going to pick his rate. He's a halter horse at $800 a month. I'm going to pick the date of his arrival, which is today, and then I'm going to arrive him. And double check for the correct date. I can add comments if I want. There's a ton of places throughout Wise Option for you to add comments. We really suggest that you use those. It's a great feature if you ever need to go back and look at something that you did sometime in the past. So I'm going to say no for this example, and he's now welcome to Wise Option Farm, and I'm done. So I just added him to board. Now, if we want to check a horse out or depart a horse, we click on the boarding module. And I'm going to go through and I am going to depart Principal Pride. So I'm going to check her out. I would like to check her out of the boarding list, yes. Today's date is fine. If you know that maybe the hauler is coming next Friday, you can put Friday's date in. I'm going to go ahead and leave it right here. Say OK. Am I sure it's the correct date? Yes. I can add comments again if I wanted to at this point. I do want to set this horse's file as inactive because she's leaving. She's now set as inactive. And she has a neckband on. Now, if you take off the neckband and it can be used as soon as it's off the horse and that horse is gone, you'd certainly want to delete it. If it will only be used one time, you can certainly leave it there. So I'm going to say yes for this example. So it's been deleted. She's checked out and charged $510 for board, which is okay. Now, since she's leaving, I can go ahead and bill the last procedures. I'm going to go ahead and say yes to show you how this is done. This is the same form that you can use from the horse file or the customer file with the horse that says billing. From here, you can simply check on all the things that you want to bill. Now, I happen to not want to bill anything that has a value of 0. So I'm going to select the things that do have a value. I can see that her total is going to be $562, and I'm going to select bill. Now it's going to ask me for the date I want the invoice to read, and 5/4 is acceptable because she's leaving today. So it's been billed. It tells me the invoice number, the total, and when it was added. I can print this bill if I want to. We're going to go ahead and say no for this example. And now she's been billed. I can close the billing procedures. And now I can print the departure report. So I'm going to say yes so you can see what this is. On this departure report, there's lots of checkboxes so you can customize it for your place. I have the ability to show her markings, pedigree, and age. I can show her health record and immunization. And take notice of this box right here. This is the list of procedures performed as her health record. You're going to see this box again on the summary card, and this is where it's created. You only have to create this one time, but to do this, I'm going to select from my list of tasks all of the tasks that are health record. So, for example, the courier fee wouldn't go in here. This is things like her vaccination, her deworming, her farrier, anything that you might want to know about that mare while she's standing in the stocks, or that her owner might want to know, or a shipper. So from here, I'm going to simply pick which one I want, and then I would add it, and it would show up on this list, and I have a list of everything that's on that. I can show health records only after a certain time period, so if I just want to show what's been done this year, I can show health record comments and type in something if I need to. Any procedures that have been performed, I'm going to click to show reminders that we have planned so that if maybe this mare is scheduled for her pre-foaling vaccination or any further care out the rest of the year, the owner knows exactly when it's due. I can show any breeding information, her mare record, and any fallout information that I'd like. Now, there are reminders and scheduling dates in the horse's file. I can delete them if I want to. I choose to leave them in. You can choose to delete them or leave them. And now she's checked out, and I can close the boarding module. So in just a matter of seconds, we've both checked in a mare and checked out a mare. So now let's go to the billing side. The billing is probably the easiest, most simple, quick module that we have in Wise Option. The reason is because if you can't get your invoices out in a timely manner and they're accurate, you can't get that money to come back in to pay for your expenses and bills. So all that you have to do is walk right down this checklist. The first thing to do is create a go-back point, and that's simply going to be a backup so that before you start billing, you're going to do this. And the reason is Wise Option creates an automatic update or go-back point or backup for you every morning when you log on. Now, if, say, it's the middle of the afternoon or maybe I'm doing billing in the evening, I don't want to go all the way back to maybe 7 a.m. when I logged on this morning. I'd rather go back to just before I created my bills. So just in case something were to go wrong or the power go out or your server crash or anything, you have a go back point. So once that's created, we're going to go to our boarding and training. And notice now that the charge button is lit up. I'm going to go ahead and say charge. And it's going to ask me if I want to charge all the horses, and I'm going to say yes. And now it's going to refer to a list. And this list is available right here in this print section. And what it is a list of all of your horse and the current board rate so that you can kind of glance over your list just to make sure it's correct before you charge your board. So I'm going to say that I've already done that and continue on. And I'm going to tell it the last day I want to charge. Remember I referred to this new period date as being the first day. It's now going to ask me the last date. So the end of the month is okay. The last day is going to be 4/30, which means that the new period should start on 5/1. So I'm going to say yes, that's correct. Now it's going to tell me which date I want to see the board being charged. The board is actually just a procedure that the boarding module creates for you that is automatically calculated based on the date of arrival and new period date, as well as the rate that you've checked that horse in. So it will have the amount of the quantity for the days that horse is there, as well as the price for that, which would be the rate. So I'm going to say, okay, that I want that procedure to be charged on 4/30, and just make sure that we're right. We're going to say yes, and it's now getting ready to bill all my horses. 16 horses billed successfully. You might be wondering why it says 16 and not 17. It's because this I'm concluded was just checked in today. This is a great feature because on some other programs that you might buy off the shelf, you have to finish doing everything for that month and bill that month before you can go on to the next period. Well, at a busy horse farm and breeding facility, we know that that's not the way it really happens. So say, for example, today is the 5th of the month or the 4th of the month, and I'm just now getting around to billing because it's been a crazy weekend. I can do that simply and easily. I don't have to worry about stopping what I'm doing to finish the month and bill before anybody else can do their job. They're going to go ahead and continue on. I can bill at my convenience. So that horse will be billed on its next time. I'm going to close this. This horse review is simply the same button as this horse file button right here. And the customer charges credits is the same as right here. Now this is a great way to, let's say Mr. Adams actually sent me in a payment and I forgot to post it. Well, I don't have to get out of the billing module. I can go straight to his account, to the payment, and perhaps he sent a check and it was $980. And he actually sent it on 4/28 is when I got the check. So I'm going to save that. Record has been added, so he's got a credit now. I'm going to close this and close the customer account page. And now I might be a little confused. Maybe the phone rang in the middle and I don't know where I was at. It tells me right down here the last module that I accessed. So I'm going to go now to my unbilled procedures review. You have the option to print it or see it on the monitor. We're going to go ahead and select yes to see it on the monitor for the demonstration. This has a list of all of my active horses, or I can see all horses or only horses with unbilled procedures. And we're going to look at which unbilled procedures we're talking about. So we'll say yes and hidden. And I can look at any of these horses and see what I'm getting ready to charge. So this is a nice feature. The next thing to do is charge your service fee. Now this is completely optional. However, if you do want to charge it, it's very simple to fill out. You simply pick your starting and ending date. Decide if you want your unbilled procedures that has a negative value, maybe you're crediting them back, to be calculated before they charge your service fee. Tell it the percentage and the charge date. Simply click to charge service fees, click here. So I'm going to skip this for now. Then we go straight to billing procedures. This is such a simple form because there's only a couple of options, and that's what makes it simple. So I can do all unbilled procedures. Now remember, today is the 4th, and maybe I wanted mine to be ending on 4/30. If that's the case, I'm going to go to only procedures for a specific period, and it's going to automatically suggest the end of last month. So this is what I want to do. Now I also have the option to bill value of 0, or I can omit that. And I'm going to select to bill procedures according, click here. And I'm going to go ahead and create my my invoices. Double confirmation required, so I'll say yes. Now, this is the date of the invoice. So I want my invoice to be dated the last of the month, so I'll say OK. And it's going to ask for a confirmation. So it is processing and creating my invoices at this time. all done. 18 invoices created, has my total, my average per horse, and my average per procedure. We can access this information at a later time in more report style, but this is handy to know about. It's going to now update current balance. And I'm done. Now, technically at this point, you're done billing. The computer system has done its job. You can move on. However, it'd probably be nice to let the customer know that you just billed them and give them an invoice. So for that, we have this pre-billing statements. You're going to select the date of the invoices you want to show. You can select from these checkboxes whether or not you would like to include or not include the information above, and then simply print out your statements. Now, when you click this Print Out Your Statements button, you're going to have the option to either print out your statements or a pre-billing report. The pre-billing report is fabulous. It is a very consolidated, concise, compact view of everything that's on your invoices in just a few amount of pages. Instead of maybe 200 pages for all your invoices, it's maybe 30. So it's nice to flip through. You see all your customers' balances, the credits you've received, as well as all the information on the invoices in a very compact way. Now, this button right here is kind of neat, the Select Customers to be printed out. I'm going to refresh this list, and let's say, for example, I have a big black streak that showed up on 5 of my invoices. Well, I can click those 5, or maybe I can click the 1 and finish through the end, or I can pick just 2 and print between the marks. This is a fantastic one. Maybe you have somebody with a really long bill, or they need to see their report again, or for whatever reason, you can use this screen. So as soon as you get done printing your statements, it's going to offer you to look at the reports at the end of the period. These are also available anytime by clicking on your customer and print reports for the end of the period. This is the version of the reports that most people use to integrate WiseOption with their accounting program. Because they are doing that, we have a tool to export all of these to an Excel spreadsheet. So there's a list of the reports that are available. The one that I find the most handy is this summary by category. And I'm going to uncheck the summary only, and let's print this to screen so that we can all look at it. And make it a little bigger. Now, I spoke about the categories earlier. This is a really good report to have so that you know, let's say, for example, my farrier bill. If I paid my farrier more than what I charged out to my customers, I'm giving stuff away. So this is a really nice tally sheet where you can have checks and balances just to make sure that you're charging what you need to. Or if you need to match it up against the vet, whatever the case may be. Now, on this one, I've actually created a category for my stallion. Perhaps the stallion is owned by somebody else and I need to cut them a check for certain things that I bring in or that I charge. So for this stallion, maybe he gets the stud fee and the booking fee. It was a total of $3,000 this month. I know either what portion or how much I need to send a check to the owner. So very handy reports, and again, they are exportable to Excel. Those are most of the basic features. Now let's get into the stallion and mare side. So we're going to go to the stallion, or to the mare management. And the one thing I want to look at first is the mare review. This is a super handy screen. It's similar to the mare card, and it has just about everything you would want to know about this mare. But it is available here, and you can simply scroll through mare to mare. Now, we're going to get into the details of this in another place. The daily worksheet. Like I said before, the heart and soul of this operation. So on this one, it has a list of all of my mares for today, and it tells me how many reminders, and it's palpation only is the default. Now, I want to see all reminders. And again, this is going to add my stallions, my geldings, show horses, however I want. It's not just for your brood mares. So I have on here, we have scheduled some foal plasma, or some foal deworms, as well as the foal plasma. This was the one that we did off the trigger. So we'll get to those in a minute. The first thing we're going to do is do your check mare. So I'm going to double click on her, and up comes her mare records summary card. Now, when I said that it was a little different from the original mare review, it is in that it shows, again, these health records like in the departure report. We talked about that just a minute ago. And so it will tell me how many days ago it happened. So perhaps she needs to be dewormed. I can simply go to Add Procedure. And since I'm already in her file, it's going to auto-populate with her name in there. So I just need to add in my deworm, save it. It's been added. She is now going to be billed for it when we generate our billing for the end of the month, and it is reset this date so that the days are 0. So I know when she's due for things. Maybe she's due for a trim and I want to put her on the schedule. I can add a procedure. Again, it will auto-populate with her name. I'm going to do trim, which starts with F for farrier. And I'm going to schedule her out. I know that my farrier comes on Monday, so I'm going to schedule her for next Monday. And I'm going to set it as undone so that she shows up on the list. Save that. Reminder's been added, and it also shows right here that she has a future schedule or reminder. Now let's go through the summary card in a little more detail. It has a link and a shortcut to the owner's information if I need to have maybe a phone number to quick glance. It has this link to change just her location. It also will tell you her registration, her color, her age, her job, who she's booked to, and notice here it says multiple contracts. If I use my down arrow, I can see all the contracts that I have for her each stallion and its order. Now, if she wants 2 embryos out of the same stallion, that's fine. Put in 2 of them. But from here, based on what we've done to her, I can know the owner's wishes of the dates and the times and the order in which she would like to breed to these stallions. Now, if I need some more detail, I can click this question mark, and it's going to take me to the breeding contracts. We'll cover this in a little more detail in the stallion side, but this has a list of all of the contracts, and maybe we're going to work on the Wildcat one, and I'm going to double-click it. This is going to bring up all the information on her breeding contract. You have 12 areas that you can input data to cover the information that you want to see on your breeding facility. Yours does not have to look the same as mine. You can change the titles to each one of these sections. But for here, I've got in the dates of my contract receiving and the date I sent it, when I received my booking fee and stud fee, the prices that they paid for those, the complete amount they've paid, the total due, and then I've made my flags for request only. Perhaps one of my stallions is booked full and I want to put request for the 2008 breeding season. Paid in full, on-site versus shipped, and embryo transfer versus carry. I can also add any comments in here that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And it also has this breeding order review. Perhaps she just called and said, Hot Sudden just won the futurity, I want to breed to him next. I can simply click Hot Sudden's name and move him up in the list, and now he's going to be number 2 on my list. I'm going to move him back down, and we're going to close it. I can refresh this list view at any time to update that information. I can also add a procedure from here if I need to. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And I'm going to go back over here to this side, and from here I can see all of the times that I've either bred her, flushed her, or done an embryo transfer. So I can look at her breeding log. It's going to bring up just her breedings. I'm going to go to her embryo transfer log, and it's going to bring up the 2 embryos that we have going. Now, 7106 is in full. This @ sign means that she has a heartbeat also. And 7103, you can see that it's lit. So at a glance, you know what you have going for that mare. I'm going to close that. And so let's get back down to this. We have a horse notes. I can put any information that's pertinent in here. Perhaps she kicks, and you need to watch that every time she comes in the stock. Great place to note that. I also have access to her mare record, teasing chart, and again, the procedures. Scheduling, if I want to see a scheduling calendar, it's right here. We'll show you that in just a little bit in some more detail. But if you'll notice, when this is opened, the cursor is automatically on her left ovary, ready for you to put in her palpation. So for her, she has a 42 on the left and nothing on the right, maybe 4 folds, and she's going to be a breeder today. So with that in mind, I'm going to add a procedure. We're going to give her a little bit of Deslorelin. And again, just by tabbing through, it's going to suggest my price. Save it. It's now added it. And I'm going to save this record. It will add that palpation to her mare record. Now I have the opportunity to reschedule her. Well, if she's going to be a breeder today, I would definitely want to see her tomorrow. So the default date on the reschedule is tomorrow, or I can click any one of these dates. If I click the question mark, it'll ask me how many days from today I want to do it, or I can click anywhere on here. So I'm going to see her tomorrow and click reschedule. I can add a comment if I want. If I don't want to add one, I simply click OK or enter. She's now been rescheduled. And with her still highlighted on here, I'm going to go to this breed schedule button. Now, the thing is about the breed schedule, she has to have a contract in or the stallion won't show up in this list. Well, I know that we do have a contract, and we're going to breed her to Wildcat today based on the embryos I have going. We're going to leave it for today's date and save it. She's now been successfully scheduled. Now, from here, if I wanted to see what I have so far, I can go to the breeding schedule calendar. I can pull up Wildcat and see everybody that I have scheduled. She's the only one. If I wanted to reschedule her, maybe I misunderstood and it should have been for tomorrow, I can simply click this button and either remove her or reschedule her. So that is the breeding session. Now, the next one I want to do is Plum Doc. So again, the same summary card here. This mare, she happens to have been bred and ovulated 15 and 16 days ago. So for that, I'm going to check her for pregnancy. So we're going to go up to the breeding log. Again, this has her last breeding. And I'm going to highlight it one time, and perhaps she's pregnant. So I'm going to do pregnancy confirmed. Yes, we want to confirm the pregnancy. Do the date of the confirmation for today. And it's going to suggest the line for the comment on her mare record. If this is okay with you, just leave it and click enter. If it's not, it's already highlighted. You can just start typing. This is good for me, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it. Pregnancy confirmed. She was checked 15 days post-ovulation. A pregnancy log was added, as well as a record to her, line to her medical record. I can reschedule her at this point. Maybe I'm going to reschedule her for 14 more days. Again, a comment if you want. So now her breeding log has changed to the status is in full and it's given her due date. Go ahead and close this, return to her record, and here is the line we just wrote on her mare record. Well, I would like to note that she's pregnant and maybe that everything looks good, or if I wanted to note anything, I could write it in a comment. I'm going to save this. Now, this is a really nice feature. I can choose to maybe not charge for my palpations, but do charge for my pregnancy exams, or vice versa, or however you want. Wise Option allows you to set up your options such that you have a different task for charging a pregnancy exam than you do for your palpations. So it knows that this mare is in full. I just marked her in full. You can also see up here that her current status is in full with her due date and sire. So this is my opportunity to say, yes, I want to charge it, or no, I don't. We're going to go ahead and say yes. I can also add the pregnancy log note now, but I already did that right down here. And record's been added. I've already rescheduled her through the pregnancy log, so I can say no. Yes, I'm sure. And now both of these mares we've entered in their palpations. This one we have said that she's in foal. This one we scheduled for the breeding. You can see how useful this daily worksheet is. For this deworm, I can go to this one and double click on it, but instead of the mare summary card, this is an actual procedure. So I'm going to click that it was done because he just walked through the stocks and got it. Save it, update it, and it's done. It will be billed at the end of the month like all the rest of them. So you can see that this is simple to just go in here, click done, save it. That's fine. Maybe on this one he doesn't feel good and we're going to do him next week. I can go to my calendar, pick another date, save it, and it's going to be removed. So any of these I can go on. Now, let's do a recip. I'm going to double click on this recipient's record, and I can see all of her information as well. I'm going to go ahead and go to the embryo transfer log since she's a recipient, and I can see before I do that she's 46 days in full, and that was 25 days ago with a heartbeat. So I'm going to go to the embryo transfer log. There's her name. I'm going to highlight it one time, do my pregnancy check. This is all my pregnancy checks that I've done, so I can do a new pregnancy check. Today's date. She is still in full. You can also mark her slipped at this point. 71 days positive. It works for me. It's been added. I can close this. Refresh the list view if I want to. Nothing changed, so I'll say no. If I need to add a procedure at this point, perhaps you just marked her as in full and you have extra fees that happen. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to note in here that she is pregnant and it looks good. So I'm going to save that. Again, she's in full. I can change it to a preg check. We're going to go ahead and do that. It's been added, and we're all done. Reschedule her if I want to. Maybe on her we're going to do 30 days. And from what date? 30 days from today. And suggest a date for me, and I'm going to click reschedule. No comment. She's rescheduled. So you can see you'd simply work through your palpation and treatment list just like this. Now, you can sort it by location. You can sort it by horse, sort it by neck band, or what I like to do sometimes is sort it by checked, and all of the mares that we've checked go to the bottom or the top, and I have a shorter list to go through. So that is the daily worksheet. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. We can open up the breeding log, and I'll do all dates. Now, because I did all dates, you're going to get to see several different statuses of mares here. So what I'm going to look at is I have mares that are in foal, mares that are flushed. I also have mares that have been foaled out, and you can see that they also include the sex and foaling date. I have mares that have been marked at slip, so they were once pregnant and now they're not. So I have all of that ability here. And I also have the ability to, this mare that's in foal right here, she's due tomorrow, but perhaps she just had a foal. So I'm going to go highlight her name, do a pregnancy check, and here's my foal out button. I'm going to click that, and this is going to be the foal out information. It's going to suggest today for a foaling date. I can mark whether it was a colt or a filly, put in my specific gravity for the colostrum, the foal IgG results, the time the foal stood, the time it foaled, and passed the placenta for the mare. I can put in any color markings, comments if she had trouble or not maybe, any history in here, the attendance. I have quick access to the mare owner's information and the time and date that somebody called them, as well as who it was. So I would simply save that. Foaling information's been added. At this time, it will offer if I want to add a new horse that foal. I'm not going to add one at this time. I can print out the foal information if I want. We're going to say no. And now, if I refresh this view, she's going to show that she's foaled out. And it's this mare right here, 5-4. So that's the breeding log. Now your flush log in here, do all dates. It's going to show your flush dates, the donor, the owner, the stallion, the source, if you're getting embryos from outside sources or if outside people are flushing, the result, as well as how many embryos you have. And also, we don't have any on here, but it would also say there were no results yet or no confirmation. Once you do that, you can analyze the embryo, add any procedures, or close it. We're going to go ahead and close and go to the embryo transfer log. I'm going to do all dates, and it's going to bring up the embryos that are technically sitting on the counter. These are the ones that have the recip is not defined yet. If I double-click it, it's going to suggest dates that we can reschedule for, 11 and 26 days. And this is going to be my embryo transfer information. So it has, again, my donor, sire, the breeding date, ovulation date, as well as the breeder, the flush date, and the source. Here is my embryo grade and age. This was the embryo analysis performed on the flush log. I can select the mare that I want it to transfer it into, as well as her sync, and the first and second checks. Now, this is 11 days and 26 days from the date of the embryo, not the ovulation date or breeding date. And I can modify these if I want to or add a third check. Once I input that information, I'm simply going to save it, and she'll be added to my schedule just like any other mare. So we're going to go ahead and close this. Now, if I change this to ETs completed and refresh it, I'm going to see a list of all of the embryo transfers so far. And again, I can see that some have been foaled out. This mare happened to slip. Again, in foal with a heartbeat, slipped, and this mare is just in foal. We can go ahead and see if she has a heartbeat by doing a pregnancy check. Do a new pregnancy check of 5-4, say OK. Mare is still in foal. And because it's over 26 days, I can do a heartbeat exam. I'm going to say, yes, I'd like to register a heartbeat. If you don't see a heartbeat, just say no, and it'll ask every time. So, 70 days, positive, heartbeat, has the @ sign. That's what it's going to write to her mare record. I can say OK, and it's been added, updated. And now if I refresh this list view, she is marked as in foal with a heartbeat. Pretty simple there, too. So now let's go over to the stallion side. I said we were going to come back to the breeding contract, so let's take a look at that. We'll do all stallions and refresh this list. So I have a list of all of my contracts in the system. I have the ability to turn my flags on or off. Perhaps I want to look at just my embryo transfers. So I can go in here and refresh, and I can see all of them that are marked yes for my embryo transfer column. If I want to see just my requests, I can refresh it, and I don't have any, but if I go in here and change my date to 2008 and refresh it, I do have one. So you can see how these flags work. I'm going to turn them off for this time. I can also search by just one stallion or just one mare, or one stallion owner or mare owner if they would desire to have a worksheet or any kind of printout. You can print several things from here. We'll go into this in more detail. And you can also export this to Excel for better manipulation of the data to provide any customized reports you'd like. From this print side, we're going to look at the stallion breeding reports. We have two reports here. The old format generates reports based on whether or not that mare was ever exposed to the stallion. So if she was exposed, she will show up on that report one time. If she was exposed multiple times, or if she was shipped semen to multiple times, she will still show up. However, she will have all of the dates of exposure. Now, the stallion breeding report that doesn't have the old format next to it is generated based on pregnancies. Recently, the AQHA said that they would like to see on their stallion breeding report the mares on there for as many pregnancies as she has. So, for example, one mare and one stallion. If she has 2 embryo transfers going to her pregnant recipients and she herself is pregnant, she is going to be on there 3 times. So, we have followed that. This will allow you to show the mare for as many pregnancies as she has. We'll go ahead and open this up, and I'm going to go ahead and let's pick my stallion. And you can use any of these boxes that you want, include or not include any information. We're going to go ahead and say print. This is going to ask for breeding date on shipping. How do I want to show up that date? Either the insemination feedback, which we'll show you shortly, or based on the shipping dates. So we'll say OK. No on a different printer, and yes to a preview so everybody can see it. And here's my stallion breeding report. Now, I happen to not have any mares on there. So, for here, let's go and generate another one. But let's just stay here. On this, I have, of course, the mare's name, her breed, which would be AQHA for this one perhaps, the year of birth, sire and dam, I can choose to add that or not, as well as her owner, her pregnancy type and method, maybe it's an embryo transfer or a donor, method may be frozen, AI, cooled semen, as well as a list of all of her breeding dates. And this is going to be for my one stallion. Now, notice on here that it does include your credit card information. Print this off, fax it right in. That's all you have to do. So we're going to go ahead and close this, and we're going to close our breeding contracts, and let's go to our shipment requests. I have one shipment request already in here for a mare double zipped to be shipped to Brad Davis. The method is going to be FedEx, and it's going to be cooled semen is what he requested. And let's put in a new request. So we'll do new request. Put in my date, pick my stallion. I can either drop down from the list or I can type it in. I'm going to go ahead and type it in. And we're going to do our stallion, and let's do quick badger for the mare. When I tab over, it's automatically going to pick who I need to ship that mare to based on what I've told it on the mare's file. I can choose my type, either cooled or frozen. The frozen only comes with the frozen semen module. And I can choose my method of shipping. Perhaps this one is to fly and they want to go American Airlines. So I'm going to save this. Shipment request has been added, and you can see that now it's on both of them. So we have 2 shipment requests for Wildcat, and if you'll remember earlier in the daily worksheet, we scheduled a mare to be bred. So I'm going to go now to collection, and we're going to do a new collection. So I'm going to type in Wildcat's name. The collector is going to be whoever is logged onto the system. However, I can change that to whoever I want. The date is going to suggest today's date as well as today's time. The number of mounts you can enter as well as the mount type, AV type, liner type, etc. I'm going to plug in just a few numbers here, and you're going to see that the table on the right begins to auto-populate. As soon as I'm done entering just a few numbers, it will tell me for this math helper what a billion cells the dose would be, and for half a billion, which correlates to your ship dose and your farm dose. Now, it also tells you all in between in case you do something a little bit different with your stallions that you manage, as well as how many milliliters equals how many billion cells. Now, if you'll notice right down here, I have these numbers 2 and 1 next to my ship and breed. If I click on this question mark, here are my 2 shipments for Wildcat. I can also click on this breed, which is, again, our breeding schedule calendar, which that's Steady Spirit, who we selected earlier. So when I'm in the lab divvying up the semen, I know exactly how many mares I have to do and easy access to exactly who they are. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Collection record's been added. I can print the collection information report, and if I were to choose to do that, I can also then print the entire collection information report or just the information for the specific mare. So there's my collection right there, and if I do all dates, you'll see that there's some more in there with all of the information in. Each collection is giving a specific collection number so that all the breedings and shipments are tracked back to it. So with this highlighted, I'm going to go to management. Now, I'm going to begin breeding and shipping off of this collection, which in turn is generating my stallion breeding report. So I'm going to go to the breeding log, and this would be a new breeding record, and I'm going to do Steady Sprint, who is the mare that we scheduled earlier. Breeding date is today, and I'm going to do Wise Option Farms for there. Now, I can choose to put in my net volume and total volume if I want to. However, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to go ahead and save it. It's going to ask if I'm going to check ovulation. We'll say yes. And again, it's going to suggest to put in the net and total volumes. I'm going to say no. Breeding record's been added. I can reschedule her if I want to. However, I already rescheduled in the mare summary card, so we'll say no. So all of my breeders have been generated. You can continue on breeding all of the ones on your farm. We're going to go to the shipment log, and here are my shipments. I'm going to go ahead and go to shipping, and I can tell it how many billion cells. Perhaps I had a little left over. We're going to do 2 billion on this one. I can again enter my volume of raw semen as well as extender, the type of extender, the type of antibiotic, whether or not it was centrifuged. I can even put in my equitainer number. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And again, it's going to add the shipment record and ask if I'd like to print off the shipment report that goes in the equitainer. I can say no for that. And I would continue shipping. We're going to do one more just for the example. This person's only going to get 1 billion cells, and I might put this in a white box, so it doesn't matter if I put in my equitainer number. Go ahead and save that. No for the shipment report. So it now tells me how many cells I used and how much of my waste according to my total number of progressive cells up here. So I can close this. Now, before I close, if you did have the frozen semen module, you'd be able to freeze semen at this point. We're going to go ahead and close that and close this. So now I've done my collection. I've shipped my shippers. I have bred my mares on farm. The collection management is simply the other screen where we went and actually performed the shipping and performed the breeding. So let's go to the ship semen log. Now, this ship semen log is going to tell me a lot of information. We're going to do all dates, get a little more stuff up here. And I know that you can tell on the type this was a frozen semen breeding, but the important information is located right here in the status. You have a key up here for BCR equals breeding confirmation received, RR and whatever that number would be results received and however many pregnancies, and PL would be pregnancy lost. So let's go into this horse right here. I'm going to highlight her and go to insemination feedback, and maybe she called in and this mare slipped. So we're going to update it. Pregnancy lost information was provided by James. The comments, she slipped. And it's now been updated. And once I close this and refresh the view, it's going to show pregnancy loss, and it's going to remove her from the pregnancy log, or not from the pregnancy log, from the stallion breeding report. Now, because we've actually updated her status, we don't have to go in and remove the breeding log and remove all of that stuff so that we can manipulate the stallion breeding report. Some other programs out there make you do that, so be careful when you're looking at programs that you can actually keep your accurate data and input data such that it will manipulate the stallion breeding reports for you. So here I can look at the insemination feedback. So as my breeding confirmation was received, I can update this and it's going to fill out this information. The mare type on here is going to either be a brood mare or a donor. Now based on that, it's going to ask number of pregnancies. So if she was a donor, it's going to want to know not how many embryos you received, but how many pregnancies she has. So if you got 3 embryos but only 2 of them worked, you're going to put 2 in here. That's going to add this mare 2 times to your stallion breeding report. Very important to understand. So I can refresh this list view. Same information here. You would continue to go down. This mare, results received, 2 pregnancies. I can see right here that she was a donor mare. If one of those happened to slip, I would simply update it and create the 1 pregnancy. So you can see how this works. I can also sort this however I want. Maybe I just want to hand somebody a list to start calling on to update the breeding information. So I can choose not updated breeding information, and this is going to be a very concise list for somebody to call. I can then print that list. I can also on here change the mare for a shipment record. Perhaps you shipped to somebody and they said, oh, that mare already ovulated, but I put it in this mare. Well, instead of canceling it, doing a new one, you can simply change the mare. You can also change the equitainer number here. So that's your ship semen report. So that's pretty much it as far as the stallion management and the mare management. Now, We know that you're probably sitting in front of us watching this because you're frustrated with the way things are, and you know you need a change, and you know there's got to be something better out there. Well, we are pleased to announce that Wise Option is that better something. We have not found any other software that even remotely compares to Wise Option on the ease, efficiency, and productivity of generating your information for your breeding. There are some ones that are out there that are better for the single horse owner that just wants to manage 1 or 2 horses. The breeding version, the reproduction version, is probably not for you if that's your case. However, if you have a multitude of horses that you are losing track of papers on a regular basis, or you're forgetting to charge for your regimate, or you're giving things away, you need Wise Option. You can't afford not to have it. It has saved so much time and money for other farms that have testimonials on our page about saving 75% of her time in the office. That's somebody's salary. So you can become much more profitable by having Wise Option. Now, if you're ready to purchase, go ahead and close this demonstration. Look for the Ready to Buy link on the Wise Option website. It's going to be right around the link for the e-learning section. So go ahead and do that. When clicking on this link, it's going to guide you through the entire purchase process over a secure website. It will get all of your credit card information, all of your farm information, which version you want to purchase, and then as soon as we receive that receipt, which will be automatically sent to us as soon as you create that purchase, we will set up an installation appointment for you and get you going right on Wise Option. Now, if you still need a little more information, feel free to continue to browse the Wise Option website. You can look for our webinar page that will inform you of upcoming live interactive webinars. These are personalized with just a few participants where you can actually ask the presenters some questions, maybe get a little more information on 1 or 2 sections that you were wondering about. Any of those, we encourage you to look for that page. Feel free to email us at sales@wiseoption.com. Ask any questions that you want. Somebody from our sales team will get right back with you. Or you can always feel free to call us at 888-345-WISE. So I'd like to thank you for being here today and listening to this demo, watching this demo. We know you're busy already. That's one of the reasons that Wise Option is out there and has been successful, is because you guys don't have time to keep your cards on records, or keep your records on mare cards and handwritten and run all over the office when somebody calls. You need to have all of your information in a concise and accurate place where you can actually sound to the customer like you know what you're doing, because we know that you're competent and you know what you're doing, but you might not convey that to the customer. So we thank you for being here and encourage you to go for Wise Option, and we look forward to seeing you soon and you being a member of the Wise Option user family.